Welcome to Blended Scotch Reviews for episode number 37 by StabtheDragon Productions, coming to you from Fort Worth, Texas on the 24th of November 2025, where it's currently about 66 degrees. I've been conducting a broad survey and tournament of the blended Scotch whiskies. Most are name brands. There are some that are a bit more obscure. And then in the past couple of weeks, I've conducted, actually about 3 weeks now, I think, I've conducted a family feud tournament with the famous Grouse whiskeys, featuring the famous Grouse. Here, not much of that one left. The Ruby Cask Grouse. Bourbon Cask. And the Smoky Black, which actually won the tournament. Ruby Cask came in last. Bourbon Cask came in second. And the original famous Grouse came in third. However, there's one more of the Grouch Eye to look at. That is currently, it's called Naked Malt, but it used to be the Naked Grouse. It's still in the family, sort of. So, just the facts. This is owned by the Edrington Group, although I think now they have sold everything to William Grant and Sons, including this one. And it weighs in at a very pleasant 86 proof. This is different, though. This is not a blended Scotch. This is a blended malt with only single malt whiskeys in here. And it's a non-age stated blend, and it prices at between $30 and $32, which is a great price for a blended malt. Tasting notes. I get the sherry cask. That part of this is aged in sherry cask, and that gives it a fruity flavor for sure, as well as a malty flavor. And the fruit, I mean, I'm getting cherries, raspberries, strawberries. It's very berry-centered to me. So it's a very nice flavor. However, my score was an 85. Letter grade for drinkability, a B+. My recommendation, if you want a sherry bomb, this may be for you. And for the price, this is clearly a very good deal. I'm not sure if I'll buy another one, however, when this is gone. While it's very drinkable, very good, it's just not going to be one of my favorites. On to the details. Well, first, let me pour a glass. Nice little cork pot going on there. There we go. All right, history. Coming from Perth, Scotland, Gloag's Perth Whiskey was the original name for this. And in 1896, it was changed to Grouse Whiskey. And then in 1905, they rebranded it again, changed the name to the famous Grouse. And the idea behind this is that where they were located was, they had just built a railroad line there, and it was the gateway to the Scottish Highlands, where a lot of the hunters would hunt the grouse. Grouse hunting was a big deal. And so they marketed this whiskey to hunters by calling it the Grouse and having pictures of the grouse on the label. This expression, though, came about in 2011 as the Naked Grouse. And in 2021, they changed it to Naked Malt. And of course, the Edrington Group, which had owned it for many, many years, sold off the Grouse line to William Grant and Sons just a year ago. So 5 out of 5 points for history. Bottle, label, and marketing. Now, the bottle is shorter than the rest of the family. Here, it's a kind of a short squatty thing. It's round. It's got a little bit of a flare to the shoulders there. Pretty wide neck, wide cap. And the label is only here, and then kind of a see-through plastic label in the back with some of the legal mumbo jumbo there. 43% alcohol. So, bottle label and marketing. You know, it's embossed with a cask on the front, and you know there is a naked grouse ad on YouTube from about 14 years ago that was fairly well done. And then there's some naked malt ads from 5 or 6 years ago, and those, the well done, were not impressive. So, you know, I found the marketing to be lacking. 3 out of 5 points for bottle, label, and marketing. Appearance of this whiskey in the bottle, fairly dark. You can see the sherry influence in there. So that's, you know, that's actually reasonably dark for a Scotch. So that's a solid 3 out of 5 for appearance. It's clear also. It's not cloudy, so it's been filtered. Composition. Well, the bottle says 43% ABV or 86 proof. Non-age stated. But it is also extra aged in first fill Oloroso sherry cask. And that means the cask had originally had sherry first, but this is the first whiskey to go in that cask after the sherry's been emptied. This is a blend of the Macallan, Highland Park, and Glenrothes. Those are the 3 malts that go in here. So that's the composition, 14 out of 15 points. Let's nose the whiskey. And right away, you get the malty sweet, but also a little bit of the fruit. Some of that sherry. Fruit is kind of like cherries, maybe. Maybe some raspberry in there. 8 out of 10 on the nose. It's a pleasant nose. All right, time to taste. Now, knowing the 3 malts that go into this blend really helps me understand it, i.e. cheat. So I think I can taste the Macallan, and there's the sherry influence from the Macallan. But I also taste the Glenrothes. I've got a bottle of Glenrothes here that I got for the occasion, and so I've sampled it, and sure enough, I mean, it shows up strongly in here. I don't taste anything of the Highland Park. You know, I'm not getting any of the peatiness of the Highland Park. The sherry influence, definitely, though. That really comes through. And to me, it comes across as cherries or strawberries, raspberries, something along those lines. So it is nice and fruity, along with malty. But again, there's no peat. There's a gentle spiciness to it, but I'm not really getting any wood. The Macallan is kind of on the front of the palate, and then the Glenrothes is more in the back. Really, this is quite tasty. It's lovely. It's complex. 22 out of 25 for taste. Mouthfeel, burn, and finish. It's not thin. It's reasonably rich. I can get a little bit of an alcohol burn up in the sinuses from this. Kind of depends on how I drink it, what I do with it in my mouth. But otherwise, I really like the proof, but it does show up in an alcohol burn a little bit. Not the pleasant kind of burn, but the alcohol that goes up in the sinuses. And so get a little bit of that. But otherwise, the burn or the tingle is very nice. I like that higher proof. The finish is medium. But some of the fruit flavors do seem to be lasting longer, as well as some of the tingles. So it may be longer than a medium finish. It may be a longer finish there. So all in all, it's a very pleasant drinking experience. So 13 out of 15 for mouthfeel, burn, and finish. Now, neat or mixer. I definitely like this neat. And at 86 proof, its flavors ought to hold up to ice, I would think. If you want to drink it, I'd really avoid drinking anything on ice that's not 100 proof or more, because it always disappoints me. I mean, I want to be able to taste the whiskey, and ice just dilutes it too much for me. But at 86, you might like it on ice if you prefer whiskeys that way. Now, the website and the ads that I saw on YouTube all stressed making a variety of cocktails with this, particularly the whiskey sour. Now, I have never had a whiskey sour, but another idea that I've had since I have all three of the main single malts is to see if I can blend my own naked grouse. I have so far, though, tended to prefer peated scotches in cocktails. If I put something like this in a cocktail, I think it would get lost. I tried some of the other famous grouses in a cocktail, and that's what happened, is they just disappeared. And except the smoky black is definitely strong enough to last in a cocktail. So I'm real picky about my cocktails, I guess. So let me try. I'm going to go get these other three whiskeys and try to make my own blend. So stand by. Okay, I'm back. I have one each empty glass. I'm going to start with Highland Park 12. I'm not going to put much of this in here because I really did not detect any peat in there. So I put just a little bit in there. Now for the Macallan, I'm using, the Highland Park 12. I'm using the Macallan 12. I have no idea which expression of these whiskeys that the famous Grouse people use. All right, there's the Macallan. And I think really maybe the dominant flavor that I got in the Naked Malt is the Glenrothes. So this is the 12. Again, I'm not sure which expression they use, but I do know that all of these are the 12-year, and yet Naked Malt doesn't have an age statement. So I think they're using younger expressions. So who knows? All right, a little bit more. There we go. Swirl that around in the glass a little bit. And there, I am smelling the Glenrothes, but not the Macallan. So maybe I got it a little bit out of balance. Let's add just a little bit of Macallan. Okay, that's going to be enough. All right, let's see what kind of creation I've made here. Yeah, I definitely went heavy with the Glenrothes. Not enough of the Macallan. But that being said, this isn't bad. Just an interesting blending experience. I've never done this before. I kind of view it, though, as a little bit of a waste of 3 good whiskeys. I don't know. For science. There you go. Yeah, definitely not enough Macallan in that. Yeah, this is definitely, boy, comparing these two, yeah, the Naked Malt's got a lot more Macallan. The fruit really comes through, whereas on the one I just blended, the Glenrothes really comes through. So next time I try this, I'll know. Put a little bit more Macallan in there. But that's not a bad experiment. It didn't exactly work out, but if that's how they make blends, then it's worth a try. So can't see what I'm doing. There. All right, so need your mixer. Again, I tend to prefer peated scotches in cocktails, so I'm really not anxious to try a cocktail using this whiskey. But doing my home blend, I don't know, I might try that again. So 4 out of 5 points for neat or mixer. Price, value, and availability. You can get this at Specs in Fort Worth for $30.39. Goody Goody has it for $33.99. Total Wine did not seem to have it. And so at this price, it can squeak into my price range for the tournament. However, because this is a blended malt and not a blended Scotch, I'm not really going to enter this into the tournament. I'm just doing this because it's part of the Grouse family. It's got a very good taste and a strong price point, but its availability is down just a little bit, so only 9 out of 10 for price, value, and availability. Bonus points, while this is good, I'm just not all that thrilled with it. So 4 out of 5. And again, this is an oddity with my palate, is that generally speaking, I tend to prefer the cheaper blends, the blended scotches, to single malts. Now, I like single malts, but I really do tend to prefer the cheaper blends. Now, I've not had that many blended malts. I've had Monkey Shoulder, I've had this, and I think one of the Compass boxes that I've had, now that was good. And then I've had another one, I don't remember its name offhand. But blended malts, again, generally, I'm not hitting Monkey Shoulder and Naked Malt here. Don't really measure up to the hype for me. So I tend to prefer blended scotches. All right. So bonus points, that's 4 out of 5. Total score then is an 85. Letter grade for drinkability is a B+. My analysis and recommendation. While this is a very good whiskey for the price, I really don't think I'm going to buy this one again. I'm glad I bought it and tried it, and I'm going to compare it with all the other famous Grouses to kind of finish out this family feud. And so I might change my mind on this one later. But if you like sherry finished whiskeys, this one's going to be for you. And for a great price, $30. Why not? So I do get just a little bit of that boozy alcohol burn with this one, but otherwise the proof point is fine. And the bottle is deliberately boring, plain, and simple, unadorned, if you will, to fit the name of Naked Malt. And now it's owned by William Grant & Son, so it'll be interesting to see if they keep the same single malts in this blend. Some people claim the blended malts are much better than blended scotches, but I remain unconvinced. All right, next up, Thanksgiving is this week, so I'm just not sure. I'm going to try to do a Thanksgiving history video, but I don't know if I'll have time to get it done. So otherwise, next up, we're going to continue the family feud with the famous Grouse family and compare Naked Malt to the other blends. So for now, this is Stab the Dragon for Blended Scotch Reviews. Out here.